Thank you. Honored board members, Mayor Pro Tem, and citizens for the town of Meade, I want to thank you for allowing me to speak with you tonight. I want to talk about the future of the Meade Police Department, but first I'd like to offer some insights into the past and the present health of that police department. Now, 2 months ago, I was asked to serve as interim chief of police and guide this organization through some turmoil that they were experiencing. Little did I know how turbulent things were, and they quickly became worse when 2 out of 3 officers elected to resign for their own personal reasons. Presently, we have 1 officer with another starting this Wednesday, and potentially 2 to 3 more starting within the next month. So things are quickly improving for the police department. Now, as a town, you have also installed functioning evidence lockers, and you'll soon see Meade police patrol vehicles in the community that are new, and there's a new graphic and design logo on them. There's also a strong policy manual being put into place which will protect the town, the residents, and also the officers more than ever. You will also see a slightly different uniformed and equipped officer, which provides them with a more professional and approachable look. And these things and others that we're currently working on in the police department is stuff that you should all be very proud of. For me, I am very proud to serve you in this town. These past 2 months have been some of the hardest and most challenging of my career, but at the same time, extremely rewarding, especially now that I'm starting to see this department move in the right direction. Moving this organization forward is something which is exciting to me personally, and it's my sincere hope that this community can take pride in their police department and not see their police department as a burden. Moving forward is what I would like to focus on tonight, and yes, we can and we should reflect on the past, because this is how we can learn and plan for a better future, but we should always be looking to move forward. Now, I've met some very wonderful people in my time here, and I've heard some very candid comments about the police department, and a couple of those I'd like to share with you tonight because it's related to the 1% sales tax increase. Some of those comments are, we do not need a police department. The Weld County Sheriff's Office is just fine. There is no need to increase the size of the police department. I don't want an officer on every street corner. This is a safe community. We do not need more officers. And Gilchrist Police Department failed, and they were taken over by Platteville. How do we know that this will not happen to the Meade Police Department? So as you can see, these are all very great questions that have been asked of me. And what I would say is that these are the types of questions that every resident in this community should be asking, because it allows for us as a town and as a police department to provide answers to those questions, and also a level of transparency that the community probably needs and wants. Through that transparency, we can reassure the community that the police department is going to move forward and be successful, and that we're also good stewards of the public's money. I think when I'm done tonight, I will have answered all these concerns, and more importantly, provided a compelling argument as to why the sales tax increase is needed. Now, I wanted to have a staff member from the Weld County Sheriff's Office present with me tonight to explain why there is a need to have a Meade Police Department, but unfortunately this did not work out. What I can tell you is that having Weld County Sheriff's Office provide policing services to the town of Meade is not an option. The county commissioners directed all of the small municipalities to begin providing police services to their own communities. So the town of Meade is not alone on meeting this task that was given to us by the Weld County Commissioners. You have Garden City, Severance, and even Gilchrist, as I mentioned before, are some of those that are impacted by that decision. Now, currently the town of Meade does contract through the Sheriff's Office for what we call indirect services, meaning they only respond to in-progress emergency types of calls. And I would submit to you that this model we're currently under is not a sustainable model. Reason being is that we currently pay the Weld County Sheriff's Office an hourly rate of $62.19 for the services they provide to the town. If you extrapolate that out, it equals approximately a yearly salary of over $129,000. Now, this by far exceeds the annual salary that the town of Meade currently pays for an entry-level police officer. Now, the Sheriff's Office also covers over 4,000 square miles, and because there's no assigned deputy to the town of Meade, it's not inconceivable that the response time of a deputy coming here for that emergent in-progress call could be 20 to 30 minutes to no fault of their own. That's a long time to wait for a deputy to show up when it's your loved one calling the police and needing assistance. Also, due to there not being an assigned deputy to the town of Meade, there's no proactive patrolling that's being done in the community when that lone patrol officer we currently have is not on duty. The old saying of when the cat's away, the mice will play couldn't be truer than with the town of Meade right now. A real-world example of this occurred 2 weeks ago when about 10 vehicles were broken into in the Western Meadows subdivision. That occurred between midnight and 5 a.m., and this is when we currently do not staff that lone Meade police officer on duty. Now, when I first came to this town, I asked, well, what does the community want and what does the community need as far as their police department? Do they want a part-time police department that was currently ongoing, or do they want to have a full-time, 24/7, very professionally run police department? Now, the response I got unequivocally from the majority of people I talked to is that they want that full-time, 24/7 operation. Based on that response, I provided some initial staffing requirements that would allow us to effectively become a 24/7 operation. Now, this was done very early on into my time here, and since then I've had the opportunity to review call volume and, more importantly, crime statistics that are reported to the Colorado Bureau of Investigations, and I'm here to tell you that my initial assessment, I was wrong on that. I was wrong because I underestimated the initial numbers of officers needed, and I should have asked for more. I believe you've all seen this chart that I have created and was provided to you, and all that data was pulled directly from the CBI website, and it is the most up-to-date current crime information, which is based on 2016. I also used a website called City Data to pull all the information from as far as population and community numbers, and that was done in order to maintain consistency when I put this study together. There's a lot of numbers on that page, but I really want to draw your attention to are just a couple that, in my opinion, are very telling. Meade right now has the highest number of residents per officer at 1,473 residents per every officer in the town, and this is based on the 3 officers that we used to have. Now, this distinction is important because to provide a little perspective of that number, is Dacono has 1 officer per every 454 residents, and again, that'll come into play later on. Now, the town of Meade does not have the highest overall volume of criminal activity. This would be shared between Johnstown and also Firestone. What I would submit to you is that these numbers should not be shocking to you because both those communities also have the highest population in the area. And generally, when you have an increase in population, you also see an increase in criminal activity. In my opinion, it's a better measurement of crime in the community when you look at per capita crime. Now, per capita crime takes into account the population, whereas the overall volume of crime does not. When looking at the per capita crime rate, the town of Meade has the highest level of per capita crime and also the highest arrest rate of any of those comparable agencies I provided to you. Now, something that's worth mentioning is that per capita does not care about the number of officers that a department has, as this is not used in that equation. So what that means is that it's based only on population. So if the town of Meade, for example, has 3 officers, which is what I did my calculations on, or 30 officers, the per capita crime rate would not change at all. Now, these are very sobering numbers, and it's exactly why the town of Meade needs their own 24/7 police department with the adequate staffing and resources to make an impact on that per capita crime rate. Now, although I just told you that per capita crime rate will not be impacted by the numbers of officers Meade had, this is not entirely true. What I mean by that is that by having your own 24/7 police department proactively patrolling in your community, incidents like those from Western Meadows may be prevented, thus having an indirect impact on reported crime, thus reducing the per capita crime rates in the community. Now, as this community continues to grow, as the communities around us continue to grow, the criminal element is going to seek out the path of least resistance, and right now that is the town of Meade. We are the unlocked chicken coop, just testing fate with the criminals that are out there. Now, I know I've painted a very negative doom and gloom picture, which is not normally who I am. I'm typically a very optimistic person, and I try to look at the positives versus the negative. I'm the, the glass is always half full type of a guy. And so I want to kind of leave you with some positive thoughts. And if you recall, several minutes ago, I mentioned about how Dacono has a ratio of 1 officer per every 454 residents, which is a very good ratio, I might add. If you look at the per capita crime rates, they also have the lowest per capita crime rate. The argument can be made that this is due to them having the adequate staffing and resources needed to perform policing in a professional manner. Now, I'm asking all of you to have a sense of urgency, which is not needed only on placing the sales tax increase on the ballot, but in also speaking to your constituencies and passing on to them just how important this is. In order to allow for the Meade Police Department to succeed, they need support from staff and, more importantly, the entire community. I can't speak to you tonight about why the Gilchrist Police Department failed. I've never worked for that organization, and so I can't speak to that. But what I can say is that the little bit of research I was able to do and in the articles I was able to find in the papers, Gilchrist failed, in my opinion, because they didn't have support from their community, and they didn't have their support from the elected officials. The Meade Police Department is asking for your support. The Meade Police Department is currently having a very solid foundation being built, and what we need now is the community to rally around us, support us in bringing those walls together. I appreciate your time, and thank you.
Thank you.